Hello friends, and welcome to tonight's beer review, which is not the final beer review, because I broke down and I bought the Sam Adams Autumn Box Sampler. The way I justified it was I've been doing lots of odd jobs, which is technically working, and, you know, $17 is for what would be a little over a week's worth evening enjoyment is well worth it in my book. So, onward to tonight's review. We're going to be reviewing the final beer of Beer Camp, which is Tater Ridge. Tater Ridge is a Scottish ale brewed with sweet potatoes. This is from the Asheville Brewers Alliance, which is in North Carolina, and no, I don't know anything about them. It's a 7.0 by volume and 35 IBUs, so it's probably the least hopped of anything in the Beer Camp this year. So, this is Scottish ale. I've never had a Scottish ale before, but I've had a beer that was brewed with sweet potatoes, Coedo Beniaka, which was very good. So I have high expectations for this, considering my palate. Excuse me, I'm a little bit congested. And also, too, my taste buds might be a little off today. I had a pipe full of some really heavily, what is it? Oh, goodness. Heavily Perique pipe blend, and that just blows your nose to shreds. But I think I got most of it out. So, let's read the label, shall we? This rich and malty Scottish ale gets a kick from sweet potatoes, a North Carolina staple. We're fortunate to call the passionate and talented folks in the Asheville Brewers Alliance our North Carolina neighbors. Tater Ridge is our nod to the area's Scottish Highland history, and we hope this ale, accented by sweet potatoes, will be the first of many collaborations to come. I'd like to see a lot more permanent beers come out of Beer Camp, but that's neither here nor there. Is it? I'm putting this into a tulip tonight, mainly because it'll help me smell it. Whew. Gave it a fairly vigorous pour here. It's an opalescent, I'd say, amber color, dark amber, reddish amber, dark reddish amber, almost darker at the top, with a nice light beige head, fluffy and thick. There is a strong earthiness, followed by floral hops. The hops are actually quite noticeable in the nose here. There's just a hint of that sweet potato-ness, but it's definitely more earthy. Very sweet, too. I like this. A very smooth, well-rounded mouthfeel. Excuse me. It's almost creamy in the mouth. I'm having trouble placing the flavors, though. Despite the sweet nose, it's not very sweet on the palate. Though it may just be too cold. I should let this warm up a little bit more, so I'm going to do the full up warmer grasp here. You know, when you hold the cup like this, try to get it a little bit more warm. So, what's interesting is striking to me is how little there is on the front end. There's a very nice mouthfeel, but there really isn't much flavor in the front. Kind of caramel. Dark roasted crackery malt. And an interesting, it's a very mild taste on the tongue. You kind of get it in the nose, and it has more of a feel than a taste. It's a very earthy taste. But again, I emphasize it's fairly mild. See, I'm liking this because it's balanced. The finish, yeah, there's a hop finish, but it's not overcoming the malts. I'm kind of wondering, where's the front end, though? It's just like, I'm expecting bigger flavor. There's almost a woody taste to the finish underneath the hop's bitterness. Almost like a very mild barrel-aged kind of taste, which this is not barrel-aged. I'm guessing it's just from the sweet potatoes. And now woody, a sort of smokiness is coming into the nose as it warms up a bit. Hints of caramel in the mid palate. As it's warming up, the hops are getting more intense, but so is that woodiness to the finish. I definitely had this too cold. I would say that you should have this at almost 65 degrees. It's only now starting to open up a bit to me. Unfortunately, we're already at 9 minutes, so I can't really take this much longer. I think because there's like a 12-minute cap on YouTube videos for someone like myself at this time. Finish is pretty long. The hot finish. Yes, as it's warming up, the sweet potatoes are really coming out, especially in the nose. And it's not really a cooked sweet potato. It's almost like, you know, the smell of sweet potatoes before you cook them. You sort of slice them up, and it has that kind of, I don't know how to describe that smell of raw sliced sweet potatoes, but it's there. Yeah, so smoky woodiness towards the finish. Now, as it's getting warmer, I'm perceiving sweet potatoes to the front end. But it is very, very mild. Strongest, the earthiness is strongest in the mid palate. Is also intensifying as it warms up. Again, though, even though I'm saying sweet potatoes, like I said, this is very dry. You're not getting much of the sweetness of the sweet potatoes in this. Almost like some very slight Madeira notes to it. Yeah, like a darker Malmsey. You know, those sort of aged, that sort of aged taste. Not the sweetness and not the fruitiness, but just the taste of age. Which I suppose could also be related to earth. While well balanced, I probably would have used a little bit less hops in this. Hops start to obscure the malts. You might want to age this for a few months to go and have the hop bitterness kind of subside a bit. And have it very warm. When I say warm, I mean, of course, European warm, 65 degrees. Okay, it's very warm now, and I'm already at 12:35, so let's hope this doesn't blow up when I try to put it on. Anyways, I was very intrigued by this, and I'm a little bit disappointed. Not so much in the beer itself, but in myself for not letting it warm up a bit more. It really seems like something that needs to be drank at room temperature. So, Tater Rich, last of the beer camp. Not the best of the beer camp, one of the more intriguing things of the beer camp. Still very experimental style. If you find any beer camp left, probably not at this point, get yourself a box. And I will be back with whiskey tastings, well, the final whiskey tasting, and the Sam Adams Autumn box set for you this upcoming week. So, folks, cheers.